Forms. A form is how a website collects information from your potential customers. And it can come in a lot of different forms. Contact form, sign up for something form, feedback form, order form, or just a form. So in this lesson, we're going to build one in Webflow. And in our case, it will be a lead generation form. We want to capture leads for our made-up company. And it will look like this when we're done. We'll move fairly quickly in 5 steps. First, we'll add our form and cover the basics. We'll show how to configure our form elements. We'll style our form. We'll talk about the different states and settings. And finally, we'll test and preview our form. Let's jump right into it. We can bring in a form. By the way, there are a lot of form things you can add, but we'll start with a form block and we can just drag that into the canvas. We'll add it right here, right inside of our parent container. And by default, the form has a bunch of stuff in it already. And this is critical for one reason. We need a form block to actually capture the form data. And while there's a lot of stuff you can see, it's only 1/3 of what's inside. Open up the form block, there are actually 3 things. The form itself, what we see here. We have a success message when someone submits the form. And finally, an error message when someone has a problem submitting. And if we open up our form here, we have pretty much everything we can see on the canvas. All our labels, input fields, and our submit button. And one really important practice here, do not delete the field labels. These are often critical for accessible navigation. So if you're tempted to go minimal, consider other ways to accomplish that. And if we wanted to add other form elements like the ones we see here, we can drag those right in. And let's do that right now. We can start to build this sort of lead generation form. We're just adding in the form elements that we need. And so you don't have to watch me do that forever and get extremely bored. I've asked my AI agent to do it for us. Okay, thank you AI agent. Now we have everything we need for our form. Name, email, phone number, company size, and a text area to add more information. And some of these are different field types. For example, the company size is a select field where we can add options in a dropdown. You do have a lot of options to make sure the form works for your business. That's adding our form. Let's talk configuration. First off, what is our goal with this form? We're adding these different elements so we can gather information we need from potential customers that are filling out this form. So with a lot of these form elements, we can sort of double click on it. Or we can close out and click this little icon and see all our options. Let's say we really need to get their name and email. Well, we can make sure not only their name, but also their email is marked as required. Maybe the others are optional. It's completely up to you. Just keep in mind that too many required fields can make visitors less likely to fill it in. Try to find that balance. But there's more going on here in these configuration options. Each of our fields has an internal name in the field settings, which is not the same as the label. And this is how it will identify the field internally, which will show up on the form submission. So it's important to give these clear, consistent names, but we go into much more detail in another lesson. And users won't see this name directly, but it still shows up in the code. So be careful to not show something you don't want the users to see. Next, the type of text, like email. This is essentially a validation. For email, that will check to make sure what's written in the field is indeed an email. After that, we have placeholder. It's the text that displays before someone types something into the field. This gets overwritten the moment they start typing into the field. Then there's the required option. We covered this earlier. And it stops someone from submitting the form without filling this out. And the other big one is autofocus. When a user loads up this page, this text field will already have focus. It will have a blinking cursor. Be mindful though, if your form is on a long page, it could lead to someone getting automatically pushed to the bottom of the page. We also have options for our submit button. Double click it, and here we can change the text to something exciting, like engage or talk to our team. Also, if we want, we can change the loading text. This is the text that will replace the button text temporarily while the form is being submitted. And remember, some of our inputs are a different type of field entirely, like our select field. So it will have slightly different options, like allowing multi-select or not, which we don't want. But let's move on to styling, and this is extremely powerful. Field labels, the one we talked about earlier, field labels are here by default. I have a text style called label in my site, which already has some typography styles, and I can quickly apply that same class by selecting each label and adding that class right in. I'm using the Command-Enter keyboard shortcut, which lets me jump right in the selector field. Also, my AI agent is still working alongside me and doing this all for me. Let's also go ahead and create a class for our input fields. We'll call this class form input because we are using it for other stuff. Background color, let's make this a lighter color. We can choose a color from our variable collection. Border, let's use a transparent color variable here. Y, we'll go over Y in just a moment. That's it for now. Let's make sure to apply that class to all our input fields. But let's take it a step further and also apply it to our select field, our company size field option. And we'll do the same thing for our text area. We'll select it and make sure that our class is applied. Before we move on, let's cover the placeholders real quick. The placeholder is actually a state. Let's look into it. With any of these fields selected, let's make sure it has our class applied. We can go into our dropdown and look at that placeholder. Placeholder refers to the text that's pre-written. We saw this earlier. If we want to style these two, we can do that. We're just choosing a variable color from our style guide here. That's good. But what if we wanted to change the color of the typed text? So when someone starts typing into any of these text fields, we're controlling that color. But let's make sure we are styling in the none state. And we'll go down and change the font color. Again, we're staying on brand and choosing a variable color that we like. And when we do, we can head over to preview and start typing something in. And it's that color. Notice how that also affected the select field for the company size. Okay, back out of preview, back to the canvas. Now, there's another important thing to think about when you're typing stuff in, and that's letting users know when a particular field is selected or focused. This is especially important for anyone navigating the form with their keyboard. So if we go to preview a page and click inside a text field, that field is now focused. Depending on how you styled your project, you might like it as is, or maybe you're looking to do something different. If that's the case, we can override that style. And we can access the focus by selecting the text field and click in on states. And we can see we have focused. And from here, we can style the state. For us, we can do something like changing the background color, just choosing a variable here again. A really common thing to style is a border. So let's choose this color here so we can see the effect. If we go into preview after this, we can click through and see what that focus state looks like. But remember, earlier we made that border color transparent. Why? Why didn't we just set the border to 0 pixels? Here's exactly why. If we took our text field in our none state, not in focused, just in none, and set it to 0 pixels, the border disappears. That's expected. And if we went into the focus state and set it to something like 5 pixels, we're just adding this to prove a point here, here's the problem. If we go back to our none state, we can just hit the escape on our keyboard, and if we go into preview, notice how it affects the document flow. Things jiggle around and other things are focused. So one of the better ways to do this is the following. On the none state, like we showed before, let's make sure we set the border to 1 pixel, not setting anything to 0 pixels this time. But I am going to set it to a transparent color so that way we don't see the border. And in that focus state now, we can choose any other color variable. And if we go back to our none state and we go to preview, we're all set. You can see the border as we select, as we focus on each text field. Let's move on to style our button. With our button selected, we can style it. We can style the weight, the size, the color of our font, the letter spacing. We can even go in and change the capitalization. And let's change the background color too. Also, with our button selected here, you can style the different states, like hover. These are just changes we're making to show the style in action, but you can make the styling however you like. That's styling our form. Let's move on to the built-in form states. What we see on the canvas right now is the normal state. In fact, with our form block selected, we can head over to the element settings and we can see it is on normal. Switch over to success. Now we see what happens when someone submits the form. We have the placeholder text, and as long as we select the success message block in the navigator, we can style the block or anything inside, including updating the text. A good success message tells the visitor what to expect next, like when they will hear back from you. And you can literally add additional things. As an example, I'm dragging in this image, so we'll show when someone successfully submits the form. And it's the same thing with the error state, if there's a problem submitting the form. Same type of control we have for our success state. Back to normal state, and we have full access to our normal form. Finally, let's preview and test. We'll go into preview and test that our fields are working. As we click in, we can see that our press state is working. What about our required fields? Let's test that on email. We're purposely typing it in wrong here, and we'll press our button. And indeed, it is working. And remember, you must publish the site to actually receive form submissions and to have them get stored in your site settings. But that's it for this lesson. Building and styling your form is only part 1. We have a follow-up lesson on how to manage your form submissions in the site settings. So check that out if you haven't already. Let's recap. We added our form, covered the basics. We double-clicked and configured our input settings. We styled our form, went over the different states and settings, including success and error messages. And finally, we previewed and tested our form. And that's designing and building a form in Webflow.